Hey guys, before we get into this video, I just want to make sure everyone knows that these videos were actually recorded before the most recent leaks from Dragon Ball Super that we got on June 15th, 2017. With that being said, I try to make it very clear in this video that these are just speculations and theories, and the leaks aren't necessarily true. Also, the new leaks, while they don't necessarily confirm exactly the original leaks that we got, they don't necessarily deny them either, so it's still open for debate in my opinion. But with that being said, I hope you guys do enjoy the video, and if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. Just I'm putting this disclaimer out there for everyone who knows I'm not necessarily going off of new information. These were recorded several days ago. So I hope everyone enjoys the video, and I'm sorry for any confusion going forward. Hey YouTubers, I hope you're enjoying the content. Before we get to today's video, I want everyone to go hit that bell over by the subscriber button so you're notified every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. And today, I am joined by a brand new person on the channel. I want everyone to pause the channel as they welcome Rakurai Network. So this guy makes some really awesome content. Honestly, I want everyone to go down to the description section below, click on his link, and go check this stuff out because he made a video recently that caught my attention, and I promise you, absolutely, fingers crossed, promise you that if you go check out that video and his review of the Battle of Gods arc and his promise that more of this stuff is to come, you will see exactly the thoughtful nature that goes into analyzing Dragon Ball Super and anything that you have with the entire Dragon Ball Super saga or arcs at this point. Just interesting, unique thoughts that you don't necessarily see from many other Dragon Ball YouTubers. So with that being said, KJ, what's up, man?
Man, thank you so much for having me, and just thank you for all the comments on that video. It took forever, but I seriously appreciate that. And again, just thank you so much for having me. This is a freaking honor, straight up.
No, dude, don't think of it like that. Honestly, don't think of it like that. A pleasure's all mine. Really. I enjoyed the content, and I told you, like I said the other day, like I want to work with you. So this is just me fulfilling that promise. Like I really enjoyed the content. So I hope everyone at this point has gone down to look at that stuff and started, at least we'll check it out after this video, if not anything else. So with that being said, guys, we're going to be discussing today, who is it in the Tournament of Power, if the recent leaks are to be believed. And by the time I am actually posting this video, it's possible, granted possible, that they'll be proven wrong or they'll be proven right, but this video will be going up before episode 95 of Dragon Ball Super, so it will essentially be going up because at this point we don't know whether or not those are actually false or what's going to be happening. But according to the leaks, at this point right now, Frieza will be going to join Universe 9 and fighting against Universe 7 and all the other universes in the Tournament of Power during the Universe Survival arc. And I thought it would be fun to have a general discussion about every single possible character that could potentially actually end up fighting Frieza and taking the win. Who deserves to beat Frieza? And if you're looking at the title, you're looking at the thumbnail, these are everyone I have that we're going to be talking about today, and their qualifications and reasons why they might actually be beating Frieza, be it foreshadowing or story-wise that's happened in the past, his relationships and everything else like that. But KJ, I am going to throw a curveball at the very beginning here, and I know a lot of people haven't thought about this, so I thought it'd be interesting to actually start with this particular discussion before we start going on the who's who of who needs to kill Frieza, or at least, I guess since according to the leaks, they'll be eliminated and erased, kill Frieza. But I think 17 and 18 have a legitimate reason or purpose to take out Frieza. And I realize a lot of people sitting here right now talking about this stuff probably think that, no, that's not necessarily possible. They have no real relationship to them and everything else. That's true. Basically, everyone else on the team Frieza has met, besides these two particular people in Universe 7. I'm just saying that their realities and their personalities crash in a really interesting way that they've been overly emphasizing over the last couple episodes. The one thing they've shown is that while Frieza fights for his own ego, his own personality, and all this other stuff, he wants to live. On a huge contrast, you have someone like 17 who is essentially a sociopath who doesn't necessarily care whether anyone lives or dies. He has no feelings towards his family, towards his sister, towards his niece, or his sister's husband, or any other those other things. And at the same time, you have Marin, who, or you have 18, who, according to herself, she fights for the money, she fights for, like the stability. But even in the last episode where she's like, her name is Madun, and if you get it wrong, like, I'm going to kill you. So obviously, all this aside, she can sit around and say, oh, I'm fighting for the money, I want the money. Obviously, to me, she's fighting for her family, and she doesn't fight for herself. So you have two characters, when put together, are pretty much opposite of what Frieza fights for. You have someone like Frieza fighting for himself and his own existence. When you have 17 fighting, he doesn't necessarily care about himself or his existence, and you have 18 caring about other people's existence over her own, and that's why she fights. And I think that together would create an interesting dynamic to make a fight and potentially kick out Frieza. So I know that was a long rant, but what are your thoughts on that, and who is your next person?
Okay, 17 and 18, that's definitely a possibility that I didn't really think of at all, but it makes sense. I like like in literature, the idea of like the character foil being the main thing to propel a conflict in some way, even if it doesn't seem to make sense to the reader. I like that a lot. What you're saying about 17 and 18 basically giving this perfect contrast to Frieza's character, that's honestly really justifiable. I can definitely see that happening. Now now my curveball, I'm going to propose because I'm guessing that a lot of people are gonna guess that I'm gonna say Vegeta right now. But I'm actually going to say Gohan. And the the reason why I say Gohan is because, in my personal opinion, people are going to disagree, I'm sure, but again, completely my opinion here. Gohan's entire character arc in Super and in early Z as well has kind of been leading up to this. And if we look like back in the Frieza saga of the Dragon Ball Z anime, there was that point where Goku, they didn't really know where he was at a certain point, and Gohan basically decided that he didn't want to stay on the spaceship. He was going to go fight with his father, and he sees just Frieza sitting there. And this led to a really, really, really well animated fight sequence that, though it was definitely impactful for Gohan's character, showing like what he really fought for at that moment. It barely left a scratch on Frieza, let's be real. And basically, this led further into Resurrection F. And I know a lot of people hate that arc. I know that for sure. But one thing you have to bear in mind is just both the movie and the arc had completely different ways of showing how Gohan just got decimated. Basically, in the movie, Gohan just got decimated by a single punch. And in that punch, I feel like that showed the lowest point of Gohan's character. That showed, in the fandom's eyes, it showed the point where Gohan can't handle this enemy that they fought early in a previous series. He literally got taken out in one freaking punch. Like, it was just a one-hitter quitter. But then, whereas in the arc, it was a lot more sinister, a lot more maniacal. It was Frieza basically taking the time to basically torture Gohan, basically with this mentality of wanting to basically hurt Goku in any way that he can, including by hurting his own family in the most torturous way possible. So it makes me think of in the Buu saga when Vegeta is basically very ashamed of Gohan's character at that point, and like most of the fandom at the time of the Resurrection F arc, during that point, Vegeta's basically like, "Why haven't you trained like at all? You're weaker than you were earlier and stuff like that." So Frieza is basically this perfect, perfect, perfect tool for not only Goku, Vegeta, and all the supporting cast to see Gohan's true development, because we saw that earlier with his fight with Goku in his sparring match. But this is a different situation. This is like again, a fight for survival. And this will show Goku and the supporting cast that in a fight for survival, Gohan is freaking ready. Okay. And on top of all of that, the reason why I personally think it would strike a chord is because it would make the fandom think completely differently about this character that Toei basically wanted you to think negatively of at the very beginning by how weak he was. But now seeing him jump up to this point of seeing him destroy someone that, when he was at full stamina and full power, was destroying Super Saiyan Blue Goku back in the Resurrection F arc. Seeing that growth, I think, would be powerful for Gohan's character and his image in the fandom.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with that. And one of the reasons I like that initial thought is the fact that Goku and Vegeta have been shown to actually take out Frieza before in this arc. And as you said when you first started talking, a lot of people are going to jump to the conclusion that Vegeta deserves this win because Vegeta has never gotten a win on Frieza. But we failed to remember, those people failed to remember, at least in my opinion, Vegeta got a pretty satisfying win when it came to Frieza. He got to completely take him out. So, not take him out, but at least like humiliate him for the most part, which is what Vegeta wanted to do after everything that happened to him on Namek and throughout his whole life. But breaking it down even further, Gohan, like you said, has this kind of inner relationship with Frieza, and also it seems very apparent at this point that Goku and Vegeta are going to be preoccupied. I did a video recently, and I don't know how this is basically going to pan out, but maybe Goku and Vegeta are going to be, I guess, fighting the Pride Troopers or other strong people. They might not have time enough to focus on Frieza, and that's why we're not necessarily focusing on Goku and Vegeta that much in this particular discussion. Who else could have that win against Frieza without necessarily taking away or giving Goku just another win against Frieza symbolically, or potentially giving Vegeta the most necessary win that he needs, but at the same time, does he really need over these other people? So giving Gohan the win against Frieza on top of potentially getting the win in the tournament, allowing him to fight someone of substance, but not necessarily consequence of in the overall tournament at the beginning, and basically killing time to the point where maybe he's fighting Jiren or Toppo or someone else for the crown jewel of actually winning the tournament, would be really good storytelling. It would allow him to show off his power with not necessarily giving him the ultimate fight right up in front, like the sell-all fight at the very beginning of the tournament. So I think that would be pretty interesting to see. My person next, and I know this is a huge wild card, but Piccolo. Piccolo has fought Frieza every single time that this has basically come up, and in the last arc, not only did, like, in the first arc, he hurt him almost mortally. He almost mortally wounded him, if not Dende healing him after they came back to Earth, but he killed him in the last arc. And I'm just saying, I don't know how I don't know how much stronger Piccolo has gotten, but at this point, I really believe that Piccolo needs to at least face Frieza in some way, shape, or form in order to vindicate what happened to him last time. Now, whether that's with Goku or Gohan and Piccolo fighting Frieza, that's yet to be seen. I think a lot of people would really freak out about that particular matchup. Gohan and Piccolo versus Frieza. What are your thoughts?
I would love that. I would love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, like I personally think that would be pretty cool in my opinion. Like, one of the things that Piccolo needs, and maybe the only problem I have with it, just in my opinion, is the fact that if that's the case, Gohan's probably going to get the win, and Piccolo might be a point, or like an exclamation point to the fight, where maybe if Piccolo isn't strong enough to fight Frieza and Frieza starts dominating Piccolo, Gohan will get mad, and as this is going on, like as he's dominating Frieza because whatever situation he has, Piccolo has to remind him, like he said a couple episodes prior, that yes, anger gets you somewhere, but it doesn't get you to where you need to be. And that's what calms Gohan down into something else. I mean, just in general, like, what if just in general, like speculation. What if Gohan gets Super Saiyan Rage and then Piccolo calms him down from Super Saiyan Rage and he turns into something completely different and that's his ultimate form or something. So he's able to take out Frieza, he's able to compete with Frieza, take him out, and also have the ultimate form in order to win the tournament. I think that would be pretty cool. But I don't necessarily think Piccolo is going to be the one to actually beat Frieza. It would just be good to see him fight him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It's again one of those like indirect relationships, kind of, if I can I'll take the low hanging fruit here and just use the point of like, Frieza, Frieza, I'm not going to point any fingers, but this man kind of killed Piccolo's entire race. I'm just going to throw that out there as well. Like,
Mhm.
and like that's kind of the low hanging fruit, but that's still a thing where um Piccolo and Frieza, they kind of have this indirect history as well. And with what you were saying earlier about Piccolo basically serving as like a catalyst for Gohan to find that newfound power inside of him, I would like that. I know a lot of people wouldn't because they basically take it as, Piccolo basically being pushed to the wayside once again. But I think that would be powerful for both characters. So I definitely agree with that, man.
Well, the one thing I'd say about that, just as an aside from this, is the fact that Piccolo, unlike almost everyone else who's been recruited for this tournament, with Krillin, with 17 and 18 basically being the way they are, and as powerful as they are, and Krillin having his times 100 solar flare, and Master Roshi kind of having his new technique and the demon containment wave, and Ten Shinhan having whatever situation he actually conjures up, and anyone else who joins them, yada yada yada. Piccolo is the one who's been emphasized the most, training Gohan and telling Gohan that he needs to not use anger and everything. So I would be very much okay with that particular character arc or story arc. Agreed, it's once again kicking him to the wayside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just something we have to worry about, honestly. But what is your next one?
I would say I'm not going to go for the Vegeta. I'm not going to go for the low hanging fruit again. But I'm actually going to use next up, I'm going to say Cabba would be my next choice. And I say Cabba because it's an interesting dynamic that he doesn't have any sort of relationship with Frieza, but I think his relationship with Frost basically will propel that sort of conflict forward. Because back in the Universe 6 arc, Goku and Vegeta are basically taken aback by the fact that Cabba has essentially not even known of like the tyranny of Frieza that basically pushed the Saiyan race to be as undermined as they were. Cabba knew nothing about that. He knew nothing about that. He had a completely different upbringing. And Universe 7 is basically this polar opposite to them in terms of how this was brought up, or at least that's what we thought, until Frost was then revealed to be evil then. So then basically makes Cabba rethink this entire thing of this partnership that they thought that they were helping Frost out, or rather they thought that Frost was helping them. It's basically made kind of like what I was telling you before we started. It basically, we as the fandom, we got fooled twice with Frost. Basically, because we thought he was going to be a good guy, and then he turned out to be evil. So then we're like, dang, they fooled us twice in the same freaking arc. And with Cabba, it's basically seeing the physical embodiment of everything that the Universe 7 Saiyans once feared. And that basically would, I think his relationship with Frost at this very point, which, I'm just going to assume they're not talking much anymore. But um, basically, Cabba's relationship with Frost would basically kind of serve as an anchor for any sort of emotional drive that he may have to defeat Frieza. Now, whether or not he'd be strong enough to do it, I don't know. But I still think that would be interesting to at least see him get like get a good, hit on him or something like that to really like just weaken him or something like that. It would just be something interesting from a Universe 6 Saiyan who's not really used to the tyranny of Frieza's race in their universe, basically.
Hmm. I would definitely agree with that. At the same time, I've also done a video about this, but I will just reemphasize the point. I don't necessarily think Cabba at this point can stand up to Frieza. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. But Cabba and Frost working together would be really interesting, considering they're teammates and they have to work together. I've also, like I said, I've emphasized this point a couple times on other videos, but with Cabba being a Saiyan, Frieza's apprehension against all things Saiyan, and the fact that he could probably indicate who's a Saiyan based on yellow hair and blue eyes, or yellow eyes, or what? Green, yellow hair and green eyes, or blue eyes, whatever you take. It's more teal, I think, but maybe I'm just seeing things. But he would eventually go and attack Cabba, and then potentially Frost, having not necessarily the same apprehension to the Saiyans as Frieza does, the same racism towards them, realizes just how evil his counterpart is, whether or not they do make a deal based on certain leaks or something, just realizes that this guy isn't necessarily him, and he doesn't necessarily know how they're so similar, that he turns a new leaf, and we get that redemption that we've always wanted from Frieza with something like Frost, and we get to keep our big bad main villain, guy's never going to change or turn over a new leaf and actually leave hell character to someone like Frost, who can be good. And the lie they told us at the end of the last arc, or the beginning of the last Champa arc, basically turn that over in a new leaf, and yeah, he is good, or at least he's so good enough to actually help a Saiyan or respect a Saiyan. I think that would be pretty good, so having Cabba and Frost take out Frieza would be pretty poetic.
Yeah, that would be. I would worry, of course, like if that were to actually happen, I feel like a lot of people would kind of ignore how poetic that would be, and just say it's just another example of bad super power scaling or something like that. I don't even know what to expect. Like I don't even want to go into the Trunks arc right now, because there's so much I'd say about that.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And look, this is all about strategy. They've been kind of building that up for the longest time. This is about strategy. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to basically persist. So it's not necessarily their strength. If Cabba and Frost can get the upper hand with Frieza, then it would make sense. If Cabba basically distracts Frieza's, Frost grabs him and basically throws both of them and eliminating both of them at the same time, it would make sense. It wouldn't be incredibly satisfying for some people. I would find it satisfying, is what I'm saying. And I would be willing to believe that that's how they did it. Like a redemption sacrificing type of situation, classic storytelling type of situation, and not necessarily beholden to power levels or strength or something. But, okay, I guess the last one here, I'm going to group these two together, because although we don't necessarily see Kale, I've already done a video about this, but although we haven't necessarily seen Kale fight anyone to any real degree, we've seen her basically beat up Cabba at this point. We don't know how strong her berserker mode is. Although at the same time, we do know that while she doesn't necessarily scar easily, she pretty much has her triggers. It's been indicated in episode 93 that Caulifla has a trigger. And Caulifla has such great potential, as Renzo said a couple episodes ago, that she could potentially reach higher levels than any of them. And it would be interesting for me to see Kale go up against Frieza, because everyone in their right mind, I believe most of the franchise fan base wants the legendary Super Saiyan versus Frieza. That's something that we've been clamoring for as a franchise, or as a fan base for the longest time. So
I can attest to that.
So that's something that we're going to see. Power scaling aside, I don't necessarily know how strong Kale's berserker form actually is, but given the fact that Frieza is as strong as he is, it's hard to say that she's going to be able to compete with something like Golden Frieza. At the same time, you have Caulifla, who is persistent in the fact that she can instantly level up to Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, and she has this apprehension that no other Saiyan in Universe 6 or even Universe 7 really has to. She believes that a genuine insult is monkey, ape, gorilla chimpanzee.
Oh, that's true.
And we do know how Frieza talks to Saiyans. We know that he uses those terms in order to describe them. So and we know that Caulifla is incredibly protective of someone like Kale. She doesn't even want to insult her. She doesn't want to see her hurt. When she passes out, she catches her. So if Frieza is beating on the legendary Super Saiyan of Universe 6 and Kale and calling her a chimpanzee, a monkey, an ape, or anything else like that, I can imagine, and I've already done a video on this, like I said, but I can imagine that Caulifla loses it. I mean, loses it. Turning Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan Rage, something, in order to push her power level to an extent where she can actually compete with Golden Frieza and just rampage on Frieza. And essentially getting the win. So those two grouped up together, fight Frieza, win against Frieza, I think makes a lot of sense. Based on what they're building in the series proper.
Yeah. I could essentially see that that sort of interaction going both ways, actually, too. Like, if Frieza is beating up Caulifla super bad, Kale would probably go even further beyond in the Berserker mode, and I could see her going so absolutely insane that she would start beating up Frieza just as bad too. So that's one of those that could go either way. And I do want to mention this too. In the situation that this does happen and Berserker mode Kale is actually doing okay against Golden Frieza, I just want to say this to everyone in the fandom. That please do not use your knowledge about Legendary Super Saiyan Broly's power level to dictate how strong Kale would be in her Berserker mode. Like, I want to make that very, very clear, because kind of even the general opinion about Kale, a lot of it is being driven by the general hate for Broly. And with something like her power, I wouldn't want that to be a derivative of that as well. I don't know if it would be, but I just want to get that out there as well. But yeah, that could definitely be an interaction and conflict that could go both ways with either of them, really.
No, I completely agree, and that's something that I would like to see. Honestly, almost everything we've mentioned here, and I'm not saying any of these will happen. It's it could be. I'm saying could. The one reason we didn't mention Goku is I think both of us basically agree that Goku, whether or not he's actually beaten Frieza only just once, the guy's gotten too many victories over Frieza. I mean, moral, just literal victories over him. And he doesn't deserve to fight Frieza again, even though they are basically really good sets for being rivals against one another. He needs to he essentially just needs to allow himself to stop. Like we don't need Goku fighting Frieza. Goku should be excited to fight the Pride Troopers. Goku should be excited to fight Hit. Goku should be excited to fight all these other people, not Frieza. That's going backwards. All these other people before that we've talked about have not had a chance to fight Frieza or beat Frieza in any way, shape, or form in this entire series. Besides Piccolo. Piccolo could have beaten Frieza in his second form. But anyway.
Yeah, Frieza cheated. Cheated, don't at me.
Frieza cheated by transforming again. But
again. Like
yeah. But like that's what we're basically getting at here is these are people that we would like to see beat Frieza somewhere in the Tournament of Power, because we know if the leaks are to be believed, he is going to be fighting for another universe. So everyone up here is game for fighting Frieza, and it's no longer beholden to universes outside of Universe 7. So with that being said, I think we're going to leave it off here unless you have any other wild cards you want to throw out, man.
Just once again, man, I know you told me don't think of it this way, but once again, I just want to thank you so much for having me. And yeah, this has been dope, straight up. Like, thank you so much.
No worries, man. No, absolutely no worries. Anyway, guys, please make sure to go check out KJ's channel. He'll be in the description section below. It should be popping up on the video. I'll make sure to leave it in the video. Links at the very end of this video. Please make sure to go check him out, because the guy he needs support from you guys to make some more awesome content that he's been making, obviously. And anyway, with that being said, I want everyone to go into the comment section below and please make sure to share your opinion on who should be taking out Frieza in the Tournament of Power if he fights for Universe 4. And obviously, we're going to be in the comment section below, both of us, and we're going to be reading your comments, whether we comment back to or not. We're gonna try. Please make sure to go check that stuff out, and please make sure to share your own opinions. But with that being said, please make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell over by the subscriber button for more notifications from when exactly I upload, whether it's a Dragon Ball video, a Saw video, a movie video, a box office video, or anything else I cover. So anyway, with that being said, bye, guys.
Peace out.